One place that I danced the most was in my mum's living room. Quite an imaginative child. When I got that film, I was depressed. I don't know why I feel emotional. I'm sick and tired of telling stories about black people trying to fit in. I'm not doing it to be recognised anymore, but to be recognised is beautiful. I'm taking part of the underground scene on national TV with this and help people own the fullest expression of themselves. That's my call. Hi, my name is Dannielle Rhimes Lecointe, and this is Behind the Scene.
Kids have to understand that your journey is your own. I was raw power.
He wanted to enroll me in football, and Mum was like, I don't think that that's what this child is meant to do.
I think if you can't be yourself in a space, it's tricky and it's hard.
I discovered who I was, and I was going to own that position. You have to, otherwise they're going to cancel the Waacking category and then Waacking will die. Next question. So I grew up in East London. I actually went to 3 different primary schools. I was a very, very shy child. People wouldn't believe that, but it's the truth. I was really, really shy. I'd go to birthday parties and I'd be in the corner and I'd watch the games and I'd just observe. I'd get my little plate with my sandwiches and my lollipop and I'd just sit there and I'd watch. I was like really, really shy. And it wasn't until secondary school in East London again that I kind of started to dip my toe in little community centre class here and want to dance there. But one place that I danced the most was in my mum's living room. Like that was my stage, that was my place. And, you know, my mum told me this story the other day about how like one of my siblings was in her little rocking chair thing and she was crying for her bottle. And I'd be there and I'd be dancing and I'd be super conscious. I'd give her the bottle, prop it up, and then I'd go back to dancing, you know, just being this big sister. I am the eldest of, now I know, 4 blood siblings, and I have some foster siblings as well. So quite a big family, and I am the eldest. I guess that's where my dancing started, in the living room, and that's where I was most confident and most comfortable. So in secondary school, I actually played football. And for maybe a good part of a year, I was serious about it. You know, I was like, I want to be on Arsenal Girls. I want to play football. Like, that's what I want to do. I was good at it. My coach in school, he was also good looking, but he was like, you know, you're good, you know, and whatnot. And so I was really kind of pushing that. I kind of had this like Leighton Orient. I grew up in East London and there was a girls' football team there. You know, I was considering all of those kinds of things, but simultaneously I was doing kickboxing. I'm big on, like, I love martial arts, I love kicking, that is my jam, you know, and I love flowing movement and all of that kind of stuff. So I did kickboxing for years, and I think on my dad's side of the family, I was the only girl, and so we had to do it. But I just loved it. I still feel like I'm a superhero, and I think that that's where that actually comes from. So kickboxing, football, and I guess dance, you know, but I wasn't taking dance seriously at that point. I was like, I could really do this. I was also good at basketball, trampolining, I love doing as well. Active, I would say. I also, as a child, was epileptic. So that was I think my mum maybe discovered that when I was about 2. I had a first fit. And so there was a lot of things about whether I'd be able to do stuff, ride a bike, drive a car, whether I'd be able to dance, because this thing is in the way, you know, you never know when you were going to have a seizure. So what, you know what I mean? Is it safe for you to be going into places? And it's actually interesting because that served me. I remember being on a video shoot and a job, and a girl had an epileptic fit and everybody ran away from her. And the way that she was curled up, she would have choked. And so while everyone was running away from her, it was like, you know, it was like, I know what's happening here, even though I can't really say that that's happening. I know what's happening, and you know, my body's running towards her simultaneously to put her in the correct position. So, you know, but 9 years old, I grew out of that. So I'm grateful for it. I think as a child dancing, it was about the freedom that it brought, you know, and it was about the music. I love music. It's my biggest inspiration. I would say I was quite an imaginative child. You know, I'm still heavily imaginative, but that's what it was. It was imagining these scenarios, imagining being on stage or, you know, and I was really moved by musicals as a child. I would watch loads of musicals and I guess there wasn't much representation, so I didn't know where that was going. But those were inspiring, what you can sing and you can dance and you can move around and be free. Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, you know. I guess I didn't really have big aspirations until teenage years, where I remember seeing Missy Elliott. And that was like, yeah, I was like, that's what I want to do. Seeing her, seeing dancers around her, the music videos. And it was never the girls swinging their hair about, or it was the girls who were dancing rough. It was the girls who, back then, they wore skirts and knee pads and their trainers and little crop tops. And it was like just, you know, heavy hitting. I used to be like, that's what I want to do. And that became the goal. You know what? The great thing as well with Missy, I had this aspiration for a long, long time. And then I remember I choreographed a piece of hip hop. I was in a class and I choreographed this to this track, Ninth Inning, a Missy track. And I posted it on Twitter and she responded. She saw it. And when I tell you, I was at my friend's house and I saw it come up on my phone and I was like I just had to hand it to him and I was just like, I don't know what to do with my life, you know? And it was just, she literally said, I see you, you know? And it changed everything. Although I would still dance for Missy, I mean, if you're looking for a choreographer, just, you know, that is still a dream. That's still in my heart to do, but it changed the need. You know what I mean? I think before that, it was like, that's going to mean I made it, or that's going to mean I'm qualified and all of those kinds of things. And in that tweet, I felt seen and understood, I guess, by another Black woman, you know, and a dope Black woman at that. I was like, oh, I don't need that. I can be the artist. And that did catapult my career. I kind of left that thing of like, that's all I can do, be a backing dancer. Although that's amazing, but actually I've got more and different things that I want to do, and it really did catapult me in a different direction.
What you say? She call me fat girl. This my fat. Got what you want. I'm aiming to please. I got what it takes. I sure got the means. I got what you want. Sugar, honey, iced tea. All eyes on me. Oh, baby, I'm a whole lot of woman.
From the way I walk and talk my lips,
I'm a whole lot of woman.
from the sound of my voice to the gloss on my lips.
I'm a whole lot of woman.
Anything I see, I won't get.
I'm a strong, badass chick with classic confidence. Yeah. One time for the green and rolling like Tina. Loving hard ain't easy. Ooh, if you mean it, hold on tight, little country boy. I ain't no girl, I'm a boss of daughters. All I'm needing is a baby love me like a warm biscuit on a Sunday morning. I got what you want. I'm aiming to please.
Went to all girls school, so I would gather us together, you know, and be like, let's do this and let's do this showcase, or let's do this at lunchtime. You know, I was that person. I felt like dance could give me words that I couldn't say. I guess the transition probably happened at about 15. I was subscribed to Write On magazine and Word Up magazine, which is, you know, that's what Biggie was talking about in his track, and I wanted to know about that world. And I've always felt a deeper connection to the US as well. Would later come to find out that one of my grandparents lived there. My dad lived there for years. Didn't find all of these things out till this year. But I think it was in those magazines, that music, that I found safety. And I saw myself, I saw people like me, and I felt a rhythm that I related to. Kenrick Sandy came to my school, and I remember him doing a freestyle in the assembly, right? And I was like, hold on a minute. Like, it was sick, you know, like back then as well, you're just like, oh my goodness. And that was inspiring to me. And then he said to all of us, he's doing auditions, he's starting some groups, you know, before Boy Blue. And I remember going down to the community centre that no longer exists now on Barking Road, and the queue was outside the door, you know, and I was scared. Like I was still shy, you know, but I was also, I just loved dance. I remember going to that audition and feeling terrified and being quiet and being in the corner, but then getting on the floor and going wild, you know. I remember the day, and I was 15. And that's what changed everything. It was like, okay, I'm in this group, I'm with all of these other kids. I can do this. I've got this. So I was still open to contemporary and jazz, and those styles still were interesting. I believe in being versatile and being able to do it all. That's possible. People do that all the time. And I think I was one of those people that would strive for that.
Let your love come in, 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 let your love come in.
What's the Waacking story? Man, my first girl group was a group called Rhythm. And for the life of me, I don't know how I knew about this style. And this was, you know, this is before the scene. The scene doesn't exist in the UK. I made a set for Choreographer's Ball. Then I remember choreographing this section that was Waacking and Punking. And I put it in there. People never knew what that was. I just about knew what I was doing. I was throwing my hands around. That's what I was really doing. But I was like, I loved it. There was something powerful about it. Even though I couldn't really talk about what it was, but I knew it was like, it's like Waacking and Punking, you know, like it's this thing, and I'm gonna choreograph this section, it's that. And so I did that, and we put that on stage, and you know, real early days when people just weren't doing it at all. And then I'd keep blagging my life through those styles for a couple of years, and then it was 2009 that Kamari Siraj came to the UK. Damien Tin Mantis invited me into the room. And I don't know if this was said, Damien invited me into the room and said, you know, who do you feel like could be in the room? And I said Ginger, who was then Shorty, and another a good friend of mine, Red Fox. And we were some of the first people in that room.
Now I'm in the knife in it. Thought I fell off, ain't quite finished. Yeah, I'm about to put my foot in it. Talk with it, walk with it, I'm no gimmick. 2012, there be no games. Real rap, real bars, I'm not playing. Haters, y'all lame, you a missing fame. I'm a beast in the move, I'm just saying. I make it wanna get low. Duck with it, buck with it, let's go. Every time I spit a rhyme, it's a sick flow. The newcomers better sit back and take note. This here my time. Y'all come better run, take what's mine. About to let off like a Tech 9. This rhyme gon' make 'em push rewind.
In 2010, I started Boadicea, my own female crew, and I started teaching them Waacking, obviously, and other styles. It was about training all the styles. For me, it was like being the best, you know, being the best that you can be at every single style. I had people who were very established in different styles come and train us. We went away to go and train with Trinity Warriors, which was a break-in crew at the time, and just all of these things to really own that as women as well. And it was so great to be able to hold Waacking as one of the pioneers of the country and bring it to these other women, take it to dance schools, take it to different classes and train people up, but equally take it onto national TV, like Got to Dance. And it was one of the first times, I think, that Waacking was put onto the TV in a serious way in the UK. We went on as Boadicea to tour with Diversity. That was an unheard of thing, you know, coming from the industry that I'm a part of. It was a little bit unheard of because there was a lot of clashes and all of these kinds of things that had happened. But one, we've gone on national TV. We're bringing this style on national TV. I'm taking part of the underground scene on national TV with this and commercializing it. And of course, not everyone liked that. That's okay. You know, each to their own. And then we're going on tour with this company and doing all of these things, putting Waacking on those stages as well. It's incredible. I closed Boadicea down in 2019. So we went through a massive change 2014-15. It turned from a crew, from a 12 woman crew into being a company. I didn't want to go on stage the way that I'd been going on stage. There were fallouts, there were struggles. I had some real big things happen in my personal life that caused me to have to take responsibility in a new way. Also, I did street dance 3D. I did a film, and there was bits of whacking in there, and it was all fun stuff and all of that kind of stuff. I used that platform to make Boadicea. When that movie came out, I understood what I was carrying. I understood that my name was in places. I don't know why I feel emotional. I'm okay to be emotional, like I think that it's not sadness. It's a deeper realization of how phenomenal I am, and not perfect. That's not what this is about. What it is about is, as a 23-year-old girl, 23, 24 child, doing a film. Because when I got that film, I was depressed. I'd hit depression. And I remember I stayed with Red Fox. She'd go to work. I wouldn't go home because I didn't want my mum to see me. Oh, and I stayed with Red Fox, and I'd stay in her bed. She'd go out, and I'd stay in the bed, and I'd cry, and I'd cry. And I remember the day that I got the call to do that film. I was low, man. And I got that, and I had people in my life tell me, don't get your hopes up. If you don't get it, all of those types of things that I had people say to me, and who are they to know that I was depressed at that time? They wouldn't have known that, but I was in such a low place. And I remember them calling me and saying, "We want to offer you the part of Justine for this film." And I crumbled, and they're like, "Are you there? Are you there?" And I could barely talk through the tears. You know what I mean? And it was just a lot. And so to do the film, and then to come off the other end of it and to say, I've created a door. I am now going to use that for some other women to come through. As a 24-year-old child, a Black woman in this industry, managing other women, let's just talk about that. Women are women, and we all don't know who we are at that point. And raising and doing my best to raise them up. I'm proud of myself. Flipping heck. Like, I'm so frigging proud of myself. And there are aspects of it that, I would never have wanted it to end the way that it ended. I would have never wanted it to go that way, but I don't regret any of it. And I realized how much I was hiding behind it for years. Altogether, Boadicea was birthed and alive for 10 years. And some of it was learning from my own leaders, the positives, the negatives, what not to do, what to do. Some of it was, looking forward and like, how do I want this to be received down the line? What do I want it to do? What's the long-term vision? Trying to find myself in that period of time, that was hard. That was hard. I always think about the time I moved away. I changed Boadicea. I left the company that I was in. Why I pulled away and how I pulled away was never really to do with the people there. A lot of it was to do with what was going on inside of me. Yes, personally, in my family, but also I remember having this crazy epiphany in the middle of a training session, and it was like, I need external validation. Oh my God. And it's like the clouds opened up, the sun came through, but it was like the sun was like, you need to get out now, because all I'm looking for is validation from this, and I can't live like that. I knew that wasn't for me, and I needed to step away to understand even deeper who I was. I talk to a lot of people about these processes of going into theatres and realising I am the only black woman in the room. And sometimes I've gone in and been the only woman in the room. I don't ever try to go into a space and think, am I going to be the only black woman? And if I am, what do I need to, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there and I'm going to smash my job. You know, I'm going to do my role, I'm going to create. That's what I'm going in there with. But I would be lying if I said when I'm in a room and I am the only black woman, I'm not conscious of it. I absolutely am. Like, I'm conscious of, you know, the lack of representation in those areas. And I think when I first went into musical theatre, I felt like an imposter. I was the only black woman on the creative team. I think I was the only black person on the creative team. And I was afraid, especially because I'd come from the world of hip hop. This was a new world. I'd left battling behind. I'd left all of these things behind. And now I'm in here navigating these conversations in a white space. I remember being in a situation where my boiler was broken. I couldn't even pay to get that boiler fixed, and I had to be at this West End show working, and that might sound even contradictory in it. Like, obviously I was being paid, but the time to get it sorted, the waiting for money to come in, and you're trying to work out who you are, all in that process of time. And I remember going in there, I was late for a rehearsal, and I was honest, and I said, my boiler's broken. I hadn't showered properly for 2 days. I needed to go to my friend's house and shower. That's what I was gonna do. Oh gosh. They were like, okay, you know. And then they had a conversation with someone who reported back to me and said that they basically called me a liar, that I was lying about it. And I look at this stuff now and I just think, though, that's probably true for you, because you're a white person in this space who, this is simple. You've turned up and that's all you need to do, and you're probably staying in a lovely lavish hotel down the road. And my life isn't quite set up like that, and I'm still trying to work out who I am in this uncomfortable space. I would say that there are sometimes decisions that I make that are based on representation.
Dear Daisy, the ocean salt air and the volcanic soil from Montserrat still lingers with me in England. By the time you read this, the Windrush ship will soon arrive with an exodus of West Indians ready to rebuild our king's war-torn mother country. Please hold on to our love as I work here to build a better life for us. Love, James.
But I try not to navigate my life around that being the be-all and end-all, because at the end of the day, the best need to do the job. Like, whomever is qualified to the highest standard and can get the work done, performer, artist, creative, coach, whatever space it's in, that's important. But to give black people the opportunity to friggin' be seen, man, like, that's what I try to do. Because there are people who are qualified and sometimes they just do not get the opportunity to be seen. And I know what that feels like because I have been there. And I just had this moment of realization where I was just like, I'm sick and tired of telling stories about black people trying to fit in or trying to be good enough, or the struggles. There is struggles. It's not black people who need to know those stories. White people need to know those stories. But I want to tell celebrational stories about how the black person invented this thing and then it was invented, not and then it was crumble and then it was a racial remark and then it was passive aggressive and then it was unconscious bias and gaslighting. I'm kind of sick and tired of those stories, of being in places, of telling those stories. I want to liberate the black voice and speak life through creativity in whatever form that is, and celebrate how far we've come, or just where we're at. Welcome to the Empowerment Room. Thank you so much for coming. I'm really hoping that you just have a really great time. That's all I want. To have a good time, be inspired, be motivated, and level up! You're in the room! Yeah. Your gift and your talent, or whatever it is you're doing, is just that. Right? At 3 years old, I knew I was going to be a dancer. I just felt deep down inside of me, there was more, there has to be more. I've always been someone who encourages people. I love to do that, love to empower. I just thought, there must be something I can do with this skill set. It wasn't until lockdown, really, or just before lockdown, I started running a small little mentorship, real cheap. No one really knew about it. It was just like, I'm just gonna help you here and help you there. But I think looking at going through lockdown and seeing people, I remember leaving one of the musicals that got stopped because of COVID. I remember seeing people's faces and how disappointed, and they were like, what are we gonna do? I've got no job, what are we gonna do? And I remember leaving there and being like, oh my goodness, like, for some people, this is all they had. And at that moment, that was practically all I was doing. And then I remember hearing a voice from heaven that was just like, if you're going to build a business, you do it like you're not going back to the arts. And I was like, because in my head now, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I never going to dance again? But then I was like, okay, if I'm never going to dance again, I better sort out my life, you know. And I invested in myself. And it was at that point I thought, no, I need something else. I've got this stuff in me. I can do more. And trained and done a lot of trainings and whatever. And that opened up the thing of like, hold on a minute, there is more opportunity. There is other stuff. I've got to help other people do this. Everyone needs to know this. I always have loads of people ask me, how do you balance and how do you coach and you choreograph and you do this and you do that and whatnot. I remember talking to a guy. I was going into an event in the line, in the queue, and we were talking about stuff. And I was saying, you know, and I was getting married at that time, and obviously I was just mentoring slightly, and I was dancing and blah. And he's like, and how do you still have time for God? And how do you have that? I remember these just random questions, these weird questions, but I feel like it was at that moment that I thought, oh my gosh, I am doing a lot of things. But what I have realized, if you approach your life as though you do all of these things, you are portraying this picture that you have multiple arms and legs and you're trying to balance and you're trying to steady yourself and you're wobbly. But if you understand your calling, if you understand your mission, if you understand your one mandate, that mandate is going to do the sprouting for you. All the branches are going to go to those places. For me, my calling is to uncover the hidden voice, the hidden gold. It's to free the trapped heart, right? I'm helping people find their voice. I help people find their space, and I help people own the fullest expression of themselves. That's my call. So now, out of that, right, there's branches that start blossoming out. And one of them is, well, vision is part of that. Your vision for yourself, your vision for your life, your vision. There's a, you know, everybody has a vision. Everybody is a visionary to a certain extent. But because when I see people, it's deeper and it's inside the heart, and I want to pull these things out. Then I'm seeing, oh, you've got this vision. I'm hearing you talk. You've got this vision here. So that vision ultimately needs choreography to put itself together. The choreography is changing your mindset. It's believing in yourself. It's developing your self-worth. Like, there's all of these aspects that are like movement to me. Your life is moving constantly and shifting. I guess winning an award, I won Offie's Best Choreography Award for Fantastically Great Women Who Changed the World musical. I was totally out of body experience because they said my name and I was walking to the stage. It's like my legs just went. I'm like, oh, it's me. And then I was like, what the heck am I going to say? But I'm trying to act normal and look. Like me, who get to watch this. I didn't have anything scripted and managed to string together sentences. That was a highlight, being recognised for the work. It's like I'm not doing it to be recognised anymore, but to be recognised is beautiful, you know. I went to the Oliviers this year. I mean, I think there's highlights just from this year, and I'm 5 months, 6 months in. But I won an award this year, went to the Oliviers, 2 shows, won awards, Olivier Awards. And I think because this period has been such a hard time in my life as well, it's beautiful to have that. Street Dance 3D, man. Like that was, I guess because like I was saying, I came from such a low place. I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. You know, I was suffering from depression, from not knowing who I was, what I was doing, whether I was good enough. And I got that call because of me. I got that call because I was, and I did the dance great, like the open audition. I have to tell this. The open audition was great, all the dancers. And then I did a solo. I read for a character, and then I did a solo. The solo was terrible. I remember doing a flick up and falling and being like, what the heck? Like, I practiced it. I was good at like the basic tricks, but it was shocking. It was shocking. I fell out of everything. And so I just was I ain't getting this. Like, if I get this, it's because Kendrick's choreographing and he's going to ask me to do something because... And then they called me and they wanted me to play characters. So clearly my acting got me the job and not my dance. But that was a real big highlight for me as a young woman doing a film and playing a character, man. Just in London and representing the freaking industry, representing the scene. I'm proud of myself for that. That was pretty epic. Being on the West End, I was part of the cast that did the first hip hop show to go onto the West End and be on there for such a long time, playing a lead in that. Like, you know, that was epic. You know, I think to myself, man, I have to remember these things in my career. You know, I really, really do. And I don't forget where I come from. Like, I'm from East through and through. I dance on concrete with no mirrors. You know, like just throwing myself on the floor. That's how I learned to do tricks. You know, it's raw, it's rough, and it's rugged, but that's not the end of the story. That's the beginning of the story, and then you get to define the rest of your story. So, well, take over. No, oh man, I just want to be who I am. You know, and a big chunk of that is, mostly all of it is being creative, but creative in the industry of dance, creative in storytelling, directing, film, corporate. You know, I want to help and raise leaders, creative leaders in this industry who are going to take care of it and love people into their best. You know, I want to set up programs that help people grow. I want to add money into this industry. I want to invest into people's projects. I want to be a go-to person or have a company that's a go-to company that helps people shine and be who they're called to be. And so the only way to do that is for me to be who I am and set an example. And that's what I'm trying to do.
If I was to describe myself as a dish, I would be...
jerk chicken.
Do you want to elaborate?
I think I'm meaty and textured, but I'm spicy. And even though I'm bunning out your mouth, you want to keep eating it.
Big ensemble or one-woman show?
Oh my God, one-woman show.
Stage or screen?
Screen.
Working with a singer or an actor?
Oh, a singer. This is interesting what's coming out of my mouth.
Boss lady suit or a funky jacket?
Oh, a funky jacket. Hello.
Colorful hair or stylish glasses?
You gotta have both. Colorful hair. Oh no.
Freestyle or choreography?
Freestyle.
When judging, 3 things you look for in order of priority.
Musicality, technique, funk.
Best song to ignite any room of people to?
Oh, September. Do you remember the 24th? Yes, definitely.
Lovely. Best song for a morning coffee with the planner on the table?
Oh, I like that. Oh, Oh my gosh, all these rhythms are going in my brain. Oh, what do I opt for? At the moment, it's a track by Savannah called If You Only Knew. You need to listen to that track. That's my rhythm right now, and it's a reggae vibe.
And lastly, when will we see Dannielle on the cover of Forbes?
You better book me now, get me now. I'm hoping before the year's out, someone needs to put me in Forbes.
Oh mate, it's a whole new level game changer. When your body transforms and then you give life, it's just like so surreal.